Welcome to Slasher Sunday. All right, we watched Eyes of a Stranger like, I don't know, 6 months ago. How long ago did we watch this?
It's what it feels like.
It's been a long time.
We watched a lot of things in between.
We watched a lot of slasher movies, and we just did not record the reviews quick enough. And it is what it is. Let's talk about this film. Now, the reason that this film is memorable to me is because it has the wonderful Jennifer Jason Leigh in it. And this is, I really enjoyed this one. What did you think?
I like this. I think this is, of all the slashers that we watched during that time frame, I think this was probably the most, competent film overall.
Yeah. This is like a real film.
It was like a real film. Yeah. It wasn't like some, bootleg,
cash grab.
Yeah.
Threw some people together who didn't know how to make a film to make some money.
Right.
Sure.
This had a genuine story that they actually stuck to. They tried to have continuity with. The acting was good from everybody, and I liked it. I definitely liked it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It had a feeling of something like either Zodiac or the Son of Sam killer, or Summer of Sam, right? Son of Sam, isn't it?
I haven't seen that.
Whatever.
I've seen Zodiac.
No, these are real killers. But they had the movies as well. But regardless, yeah, it just had that Zodiac killing feeling, where this guy was just randomly attacking people. The car scene, right? With the guy who's banging his girlfriend in the car.
Right.
And then he comes to help him and he slices his throat and then goes after the girl. That almost felt like Maniac too.
Yes, yeah.
Right? The Joe Spinell version, where he jumps up on the hood and blows freaking Tom Savini's head off with a shotgun.
Yeah.
But just had that kind of feel, and that's a cool thing.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, I've always and this is, I think this was Dave Attell, which geez, I haven't thought of that name in forever. It was a comedian years ago. I don't know whatever happened to that guy, but he was talking about in one of his skits how it's always the jogger. It's always the person who is trying to be healthy, who's out at 6 a.m, jogging through the woods, that finds the dead body.
Yeah.
And this is this guy who's nature photography, and he's taking all these beautiful pictures, and he's breathing in life and trying to capture beauty.
Yeah.
And then he's focusing in, and he finds a dead body floating in the water, and it's total fuck you to being healthy and being vibrant and alive and out there.
Yes.
Just kind of funny to me, the guy who's never leaves the house doesn't run across shit like
that. No, never.
But of course, I mean, unless someone's stuffing dead bodies in your house
right.
randomly,
yeah,
you're not going to be finding any. But
yeah.
I found it to be funny. The way he does it in the skit, it was pretty funny, because I was just that's true. It's always the ones out in the world. So yeah, so the Jane, our main character here, because Tracy, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, is more of a secondary character. She is the blind one, which the title is kind of playing off of. Even though it's his eyes, it's the eyes of a stranger, and she's blind. So it's he has eyes and she doesn't. But the main character here is Jane, and Jane is a news anchor, much like that. Actually kind of felt like Dee Wallace's character in The Howling, right? And she's not wanting to move on from the story, but in this time it's not because she wants to announce to everybody that she's a werewolf, but it's because she feels like everyone's kind of just sweeping this story under the rug, that this guy's out there attacking women, and she's why is this not bigger? Why aren't we focusing on this more? And they keep going oh, here she goes again. And it's she's a news reporter. This is her job, and she feels this is close to her heart. She's she cares about people, and because this is happening in her city, and her and her sister are the target demographic, and in addition, her sister was abducted when she was a kid.
Yeah, she wants to bring
and
awareness.
then brought back, and now she's all screwed up from it, which reminds me of Mystic River, with Tim Robbins' character being abducted when he's a kid, and then he gets brought back, and then everyone like who let that happen feels bad about it. Did you ever watch Mystic River? Excellent film. Sean Penn, directed by Clint Eastwood. Great stuff. Anyways, but yeah, it's just like they keep trying to like move on, and she's like,
"No, we're not
listen
moving
to
on
me.
yet." Yeah.
Yeah, this is important shit.
I really like her character in this and how like how much integrity she has and how much she does care about, you know, the women that are being attacked and killed, and like finding out who this guy is. Like I feel like she's super motivated, and it's really admirable. And this is like a good example of when news reporters would do good versus like messing up an investigation by like releasing information that they shouldn't be releasing to the public. Like she's just trying to, you know, like, because that happens too, right? Like where reporters like all they care about is the story, and it can actually screw things up.
You're talking about that freaking documentary we watched recently with that chick who
with the Night Stalker.
Yeah,
yes.
Richard Ramirez.
But that's huge.
God,
that stuff is
awful.
Huge.
Yeah.
And there's definitely reporters like freaking Gail Weathers. But, you know, she, I think, is like a cool person in this, and she just genuinely comes across as somebody that cares and doesn't want to give up.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on the news today. But, yeah. So, now, of course, it's for the service of the story, and it's not impossible. It's just one of those, like, highly unlikely scenarios where the newscaster who's, like, really hard pressed on this story, you know, and I think that one of the flaws of the film is that she sees something happen in her parking structure where she sees that this guy is being suspicious, and she starts to believe he's the killer. And the coincidence of that is obviously very high. And while her boyfriend, who I think is a lawyer,
yes,
he's trying to be like, you're crazy, you're wrong, this and that. I don't feel like there's enough focus in the film for the audience to question whether or not she's wrong and to keep this killer secret. And make it seem like, is she wrong? You know, because like you could even set it up to where it makes it look like maybe it's her boyfriend, right? Or maybe it's someone else in her life, or maybe, you know, the killer is not connected. Because it would have been interesting if she was wrong in the end, and this dude wasn't. But they revealed to you right after that car killing at the 40-minute mark, and this movie's an hour and 24, so it's like halfway point, that he's the killer. We pan up after he's killed the two people, and it's him. And it's like, oh, okay, well, now that's taken all the mystery out of whether or not she's wrong.
Yeah.
So I just don't feel like they play on that enough. But that's not the story they're trying to tell.
Right.
They're just like, no, he is the killer, and she's right, and no one will believe her. And that's fine. I just think that maybe the movie would have benefited on her side of things a little, to leave that a little more ambiguous, to where us, the audience, is like, is she right?
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
Maybe. But otherwise, I don't really have much complaints with the film.
Yeah, I don't either. I think, I mean, what you said, that could definitely have been cool, but I don't really have any complaints.
This film, I mean, as like good of a movie as we said it is like competent and like a real film as it feels, it also is pretty sleazy too. Like,
sure.
It kind of still has that feel. There's like a ton of nudity in this movie.
Yeah.
You've got him in like strip clubs, and you've got, you know, he's ripping tops off of chicks, and Jennifer Jason Leigh's even like checking out her own tits at the end of the movie, which that scene makes perfect sense.
Sure.
But regardless, like, and it got some pretty, I'd say one kill in particular is good. The rest are like fine. But the decapitation, when the guy's at the couch and he's like, huh, and you see it in like the TV, and it goes like this, and then the head comes off, and then the chick comes out, and her freaking boyfriend's head is in the fish tank.
Yeah, that's the best kill for sure. The rest of them are pretty like throat slit and like strangulation, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But the opening kill is great, and Yeah, the scene in the strip club is really funny.
You just like her dance moves.
Her dance moves are crazy. I don't know what she's doing with her leg. She's like...
She's getting a groove on.
She's feeling it. It's fine. I just think it's funny looking.
How would you strip?
Not like that.
Not
but
like that?
I would be a bad stripper too. So, and she's not bad. She probably is fine. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Doesn't he follow her home and kill her? Isn't that the one in the shower? Or is that a different woman?
I think it's her.
Yeah.
It's her.
Now, we just talked about the Dark Half, and we spent a lot of time talking about rad police work. Well, I'm sure this is probably true, too, which is very upsetting. But a woman who, while there's a killer on the loose who's targeting women, she calls the police and is like, you know, I'm having disruptions with this person who's calling me and threatening me. And the cop is like totally dismissive. And he's like, was he threatening you? And she's like, yes, he said this and that. And then he's like, all right, well, I don't know. We'll send someone out tomorrow.
Oh my God.
Like, tomorrow?
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's because he's like, oh, well, all they're doing is calling you.
Right.
But it's like he's threatening. Like, it's not just a prank call.
I'm sure they're
Like,
getting a lot of
they are, and
hysterical
that's what he
people.
said,
Right.
too. Like, we're getting a ton of these kinds of calls. Like, just stay inside and lock your doors, and, like, we'll send someone by. But it's like...
I get it. I do. It's just... And I'm sure there's probably 100 chicks that called in the last hour who are full of shit and are just scared, which I get it, why they're scared.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, like at least he's sending someone out. But it's like, do you think when she turned up dead that he felt bad?
Yes. Oh my God. I would
hope
feel
so.
so guilty. I would be like, I could have prevented that. I could have stopped that. If
But
I
then
just
again,
said,
like
yeah.
if
But
I
it's
did
like,
get
how would
100
you
kills
know?
or 100 calls a day, how do I send
Yeah.
a guy out
Of
to
course.
every single one of them? You can't. You
Of
have limited
course.
resources. So you have to try to, you know, vet these calls.
Yeah.
And it's up to your discretion. You're a dispatch officer, right? So you're the one that makes that call.
Yeah.
And he made the wrong call, obviously. I don't know how much blame I put on him if he's getting 100 of those calls a night.
No. Yeah.
But I mean, I think he felt bad,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if it's his fault or not.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with it isn't. It isn't his fault.
No,
right, but
it's,
like,
it's not. But he would
is
probably
he negligent?
feel...
Is what I'm asking.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I don't think so.
It's hard to say.
But it just feels like when he's like, I'll send someone out tomorrow, you as the audience who knows that something's going on is
Right.
like, how
Like,
could you?
no.
But I guess there is an
Tomorrow.
explanation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. We're not going to compare that to the Dark Half because that police work
Totally
is
different.
completely shoddy for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Regardless. Okay. Dating someone with a loved one who is disabled. Not only is she blind, but she's also mute.
Yeah.
That would be so hard, especially when it's psychosomatic.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah,
That would be really difficult.
how she does laundry in their apartment complex, goes down the elevator and all that, I'm calling bullshit.
That's
I
all
don't see
crazy.
how that's possible.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
don't
guess
know,
it's
though.
possible.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a lot of people who,
If anything goes wrong, you're kind of screwed, though. Like, we have a washing machine that screws up quite often because we try to put certain things in it, and the balance logo's off,
Yeah.
and I got to wring it out, and you got to try to run it again, and all those things in the different settings. She
Sure.
couldn't do any of that shit. Like,
No,
if anything goes
she
wrong,
would
she'd
need
just
help.
have to be like, all right, I need help.
Yeah.
But I guess as long as everything goes perfect,
Yeah.
I guess she could. I'm
mean-
gonna do our next load of laundry with my eyes closed.
Yeah, I was just
Can't
gonna say
sort
that
it.
there's a lot of people who exist in the world blind.
How do you
and,
sort your laundry? How do you sort the
You-
blacks from
I mean, you obviously can't do that.
Right.
You would need someone to help you, or
Like,
you would
cool,
just kind of all, I don't know, maybe buy the same color clothes, or I don't know.
Cool,
But-
you
but
just
there's-
did the laundry for us. Now all my shirts are pink.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, good on her if she can.
Yeah.
It would be tough.
It would be.
I just think Jennifer Jason Leigh is so beautiful. Whenever I see her, especially in her younger years, she's not unattractive now, but when she was like in that like Fast Times at Ridgemount High, this era, she's definitely one of the most beautiful girls of that era. And she's in The Hitcher, which we're gonna watch. She has a much different look there. She's more edgy, a little more adult, and I don't know if I've ever, well, not ever, but Jennifer Jason Leigh is definitely one of those actresses that typically, if she's in a film like Mia Goth or something, you can always expect nudity. For some reason, like 90% of her films, which is not a complaint. Not at all. I just think she is
comfortable with it.
I just think she just has this really, I don't know, there's something about her. She's so pretty to me. And she's great in this. I mean, she definitely plays the like, you know, not comatose, but like, what would be the word here? Where she is like completely like shell shocked, right? And she like this victim of trauma.
Yeah.
Right? She just has that kind of feel to her where she has had something terrible to her happen to her, and she's broken because of it. Even though she's like persevering and pushing through it and being that disabled person, like the guy in Scary Movie 2. I could do it myself. Right? She has that like strength to her, but she also plays that like abused innocence as well. So good stuff. Because I think this is her first film.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's 19 years old in this.
She does a great job in it.
Yeah. And and the sister, of course, feels responsible. This is why when the you know, the boyfriend is like wanting to be part of her life, she's just like, no, my sister is my main priority, and you just won't understand, and is pushing him away.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
I do get that. I think that, you know, I mean, it would be tough, right? Like, because she doesn't want to not have a relationship with him, but her sister's relationship and like living, you know, being there for her sister is more important, and I understand that.
Yeah. It's tough though, for sure, because it's just with her, her whole life, right? She feels this guilt, and you know, I don't know. Like in the end, obviously, she gets her sight back and her voice back after she survives yet another trauma. It's trauma that begets trauma,
her. Yeah.
Right? It's able to take it away. So. Do you think she would have ever gotten over it had she not went through another traumatic experience? And if not, is it a good thing that she got attacked?
I mean, yeah, that's hard to say, right? Like, I don't know that she would have. I mean, it's been how many years since it happened?
10.
Yeah, so I don't know that she would have broken out of it without having her life at risk again. I don't think it's a good thing she got attacked in general, but because there's a positive of her regaining her sight and her voice, I'll say yes, and especially because obviously like she survives and the guy gets killed and everything, like,
sure.
You know, it is a win-win, but it sucks, you know,
sure.
Because obviously she now has to deal with the trauma of that attack. So even though she has her sight and her speech, you know, returned to her, mentally, I think she's going to be worse off than she maybe was.
Or she'll be stronger.
Yeah. It's hard to say. So, but I guess it is kind of like silver lining.
Yeah, I feel like at some point, like, the trauma can only go so deep, right? And she's already so psychologically damaged at this point that getting attacked actually has a positive effect on her. So it almost feels like she is able to heal from this experience as if it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. I mean, I personally, and I can't say for sure, but I feel like if I went through some traumatic ass experience and then I went through a similar traumatic ass experience that like helped me, I don't think I would I think that would actually heal me. I would think that would be like the catalyst for my recovery, where I was like, all right, like this isn't my fault, or this isn't your fault, or it's time for me to move on. And I do think that this is a happy ending for them, that she's finally going to have a normal life.
Yeah.
And ultimately this is a good thing. So like he kind of does her a favor in a way by being able to help her out of what some other, it's like sorry buddy, you're too late, right? Like somebody's already beat you to this. Like I'm already traumatized by some asshole like you. All you're doing here is helping me.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I would be grateful, like to if I had been missing out on seeing and being able to speak for so long. I think I would be very happy to have those things back.
This is what I'm not 100% sure on, but I'm pretty much positive of. It's because of what she goes through in the past that she's able to survive this.
I agree with you. I do think that is a big factor into her survival here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The music in this movie absolutely reminded me of Cape Fear. The obscene phone calls in movies where girls get phone calls from guys that are saying nasty shit to them. This is like one another. Let's put it up on the board. How many we got now? This is another trope of tropes. Oh my goodness. How many of these movies do we have? Whether it's Black Christmas or When a Stranger Calls, or we can just go down a freaking laundry list of titles of women getting obscene phone calls from men.
Yeah.
As the killers.
That's such a dated thing too now, because I mean,
what's your favorite scary movie?
Well, and that's wonderful, of course. I love that in Scream. But I was gonna say that it's like a very like landline.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I'm sure there are still people that get like obscene phone calls on their cell phones, but I just feel like it's not a trope that we see in movies as much anymore, but it was like a huge thing with like having a phone in your house.
Yeah.
Because it's like who could call, like anybody could reach you there, whether it's like, When a Stranger Calls or whatever, Black Christmas as you said. So it's just kind of funny to see because we've moved away from that. Now I think it's much more likely that you get like the freaking like anonymous account like messaging you on social media or
DMs.
Something. Yeah. Like that's more of a like some evil thing could be lurking in cyberspace versus on the other side of the phone.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And there's a pretty cool stunt in here. She goes to investigate this guy's apartment, and he comes back while she's doing it, and then she has to hang from his balcony.
Oh my gosh.
And swing onto the other one before he finds her hanging from the balcony. And we see it from the outside, and it's pretty high up there. I mean,
it looks high.
I can't see any suspension wire or anything. So obviously this stunt person had to work with like limited gear.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Pretty wild stuff and a pretty tense scene. So that was really cool. And then it's funny when she like walks through the neighbor's house, like, hey.
Yeah, and they're just like still eating breakfast. They're like retired people in Florida or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. But that stunt is pretty wild. It definitely is like really intense.
And that's not something we haven't seen before, where somebody like comes into the house and then like walks through the person's, room and like, hey.
Sure. Yeah, like that happens.
We've seen it plenty
of times.
It's
cute in here. It's really cute.
It is.
She only gets away with it because she's a woman. If it had been like a guy walking through, they would have been like,
sure.
She's just like some petite woman walking through, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
What if she was a predator? Like what happens in Predator 2 with the old woman who comes out of the bathroom without his arm?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite example of that.
Great example.
When he's waiting for her, when they're going to see a movie, the lawyer and him, they're talking through the fucking movie like assholes.
God.
The poster is Dawn of the Dead. He's farting it up.
He's farting. Our puppy started farting.
Oof. It's because you're giving him cheese.
It is.
It's because you're paying that cheese tax. The cheese tax. Yeah, don't get me started singing that song. I almost went into it. Hand it over quick. No, okay, we're done. We sing that song like 75 times a day.
Yeah.
It's really cute. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's on Spotify. And it's in like 1,000 TikTok videos, but whatever. And yeah, when they go to see this movie, they're talking through it. But when he's waiting out in the lobby for her, I don't think it is, but I feel like when they walk in, it's the trailer playing. But the poster on the wall is Dawn of the Dead. I don't know if that's what they're going to see. The timeline, when was this made? This is like 1980. Okay.
So
Dawn of the Dead came out in 78. So, would it still be? When this was probably shot in 79 then. And it was pretty popular, so it probably stuck around for a bit. So I don't know what movie they go to see, but a Dawn of the Dead poster is in there. I love the weather guy in this that they keep cutting to after she's like, trying to be all serious, and then he's like, "Watch out there today, because there might be rain." He's like wearing a rain slicker. He's like that old 80s character. He's like reminds me of the freaking Micro Machine guys or something. And he's just like they're throwing a bucket at him. What's that? Yeah, he actually reminds me of the dude in RoboCop. I'd buy that for $1.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just so dramatic and intense and corny, and it's always after she's trying to be all serious. So funny.
We couldn't figure out why Jennifer Jason Leigh had a black eye in this.
Yeah.
She just has randomly a black eye.
Like in the second half of the film.
But
all of a sudden,
blind people definitely would have injuries. Right, like where they walked into something, a cabinet was sticking out.
Yeah, but I don't think that. I feel like I don't know. You rewatch it again and take notes, so I don't know. I don't know why she has a black eye. I don't know what that either. Is. I feel like the actors actually got hurt and they tried to cover it up.
Oh, that's 100% a real black eye.
Yeah, and then they just didn't. They weren't able to fully cover it up with makeup, or I don't know.
I think they were just like blind people get friggin' random, injuries. Really? After everything that happens, she goes out and gets a gun. Good for her. And then she starts calling him and pissing him off. And then he immediately gets really angry at her and then goes out and brutally murders someone that night because he's angry. And I'm like, is that her fault? Because would he have killed again? Sure.
Yeah. Would
he have killed that person specifically? Would he have went out that night to take his anger out on someone? Probably not. So that specific person who died is kind of her fault for egging him on.
Yeah, I do feel like this is the one area in the film where she's not the smartest. She's angry, which is why she's doing it, and she wants to give him a taste of his own medicine. But as a consequence, somebody gets hurt from it. And as you said, yes, he would have gone out and killed again, but she is kind of a direct connection to why it happens that way.
And this is also how her sister gets, attacked.
Right.
Now, this ends up being a good thing, right?
Yeah, ultimately.
Which we talked about, but it could have got her killed.
Yeah.
And it's because, and this is another coincidental thing, she calls him a phone freak.
Yeah.
When she talks to him on the phone, and then when she goes on air, she calls this killer a phone freak. Yeah. And he was like...
Makes the connection.
He hears it, and he's like, wait a minute. And then he realizes she lives across from him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I got this bitch now. And the worst scene of the whole film is when Jennifer Jason Leigh is looking for her dog and she's clapping for him, and then we get a close up of his dead body.
I hated that.
Terrible. And then he stands right in front of her and he's taking the stuff away from her, and then she then we get the fight goes down.
Yep.
And she I like that she's in his place and he's in her place, and then she looks across and sees him.
Yes.
That was cool. And it's oh shit.
Oh my god, it'd be
what have I done?
So awful.
She's got such a long run back.
Yes. They're up so high. Yeah. And then they have to go all the way down and run all the way across and then go all the way up.
It would take
so long.
It would take 5 minutes.
At least.
I mean, even if no matter how fast you did, I don't think you could do it faster than 3.5, 4 minutes. It would probably be the best you could do.
Sure.
Because you'd either have to take the stairs,
right,
or maybe if you got lucky on the elevators.
Yeah.
Now the bottom one coming, if you're on the bottom floor, the elevators usually go back down to the bottom, but the one that you had to wait for the top, you gotta wait for the elevator, because that high up, you ain't getting down the stairs faster than you get down the elevator.
Right.
There's no way, not that high up.
No. Yeah.
Right? They're 15 stories
really
at least.
Tall.
And you ain't running down 15 flights of stairs before an elevator gets to you and brings you down. So she got a long run.
I definitely never want to live in an apartment building that big.
No, me
feels
neither.
like so. I don't know.
Just in case this happens.
Yeah, just in case this happens or a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Freaking Evil Dead Rise.
And then, her vision starts to come back to her. This is to be expected. As soon as they say it's psychosomatic, you know she's getting her vision back at the end of this film. And then she targets him with the gun. I don't know why she's not able to, put it a little closer to where he's at. She has some Van Damme image.
She does. Image. Yeah.
Vision?
Image.
Yeah, I was trying to put vision and image
Yeah,
together.
image.
That's hilarious. I thought I was trying to put Van Damme and image together, and then I reset image, and then it was like, wait, image isn't even the right word. No, so that's not the two words I was trying to put together. That makes sense. But yeah, she's not used to having sight.
Sure.
Right?
Oh yeah, it would be so disorienting.
And you know what they should have had it do instead of being really blurry is they should have had it be triple vision.
Sure.
Then her missing her shots would have made more sense because she's shooting for one of them.
Yeah.
But anytime you get double or triple vision, I guess double wouldn't work. But if you had triple vision, shoot the guy in the middle.
Yeah, I guess that's a good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's expanding off of the one in the middle. Right. Double vision, I don't know which one to shoot.
Yeah.
And let's just hope we never have to shoot anybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna hope that.
Yeah, I mean, she goes into the mirror and she's looking at herself it must be it would be crazy.
Oh yeah.
To not have seen yourself since you were a very small child. I mean, she's 5 or 6 when she gets attacked.
Oh my god.
And so she's
almost
20 now, 19, 20 years old now, and to see herself. I don't know, because she is blinded, so she wouldn't know, and nor would she even care in this moment. She's more just what? And the reason she looks at her tits is because it's I'm a woman now. This is wild. I'm sure she's felt them before, but seeing them, it's oh my god, I'm an actual woman.
Yeah.
What the hell? I was a child the last time I looked at myself.
Yes.
But all I could think when I was watching it was thank God she's hot. Where she's damn. That's what I look like.
No, this is definitely not what she's feeling.
No, that's what I was thinking.
That's what you were thinking, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, how crazy would it be to not see yourself for so long?
It'd be really weird. It'd be super weird. Yeah, I mean, obviously not seeing anything would be really weird, and then all of a sudden regaining vision would be
disorienting.
Very disorienting.
Yeah. And then she leaves the killer, who I guess she thinks an abdomen shot's gonna just immediately kill him.
Yeah.
I don't know why she would think that, but it is what it is. And she gets to leave the opportunity for her sister to ultimately save her by running in, shooting him through the head. He falls through the freaking thing. We get the blood effects coming down his head. And then we get the Jamie Lloyd Tina scene where she's Jane.
Yeah. Stuttering.
Say it again. I love Tina, man. I've always been a big fan of Tina. I'll always defend Halloween's 5 Tina. She's great. She's legit one of the most, if not the most hated character in the Halloween franchise in the community.
I don't get it.
Bum-ba-dum, 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 bum. I love her.
It's cute. She's adorable.
Anyway, there you go. Eyes of a Stranger. That's that.
Yeah.
What'd you think? We talked about that, right?
Yeah.
I asked you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
cool.
movie. Good slasher.
I don't know why I would ask you at the end, but
you're what did
I was
you
just
say?
I was just making sure I asked because I hate to not ask. I've seen this before and you hadn't. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.